Hello, dear one, how are you? Watch this if you feel judged by someone, or you feel like you don't feel understood, or you get taken for granted. Okay, so the theme of this message is there is someone around you that makes you feel very small, very, you feel very judged, you feel like a bad person, and they blame you for everything, like even the most weirdest thing, right? Okay, if this is the theme, then watch this. Okay, so there could be a person around you, this could be a family or anyone that constantly makes you feel like you're a smaller person, you're a bad person. They blame you for everything. So when you're in a setting, right, you're all sitting down, everyone is talking about their feelings. So you also end up giving your perspective about a certain thing, right? And everyone speaks when they speak, okay? And then what happens is after everything is done, this person somehow comes up to you, or it's a weird gesture or something where they tell you that, what you said was not okay. You're like too expressive, you're too aggressive, you don't know how to use your words, but you do know very well why to use your words, how to use your words, when to use your words. You know this, but this person constantly makes you feel judged, and they blame you for anything and everything, like, and let's say you're sitting in a nice setting where everyone's talking about a similar thing, right? So you also put in your opinions, you speak because you feel like you're accepted, you feel like you're not judged. But in the end, what happens is, after everything is done, this person will somehow let you know that, you speak a lot, you're too harsh, you're too rude, or you don't know how to speak, something about you is not right. And then you again go spiraling into this loneliness, right? Because you would have mustered up the courage to open up, and then you suddenly fall into this darkness again, this loneliness, this feeling of being a bad person. But you're not a bad person. I want to tell you, you're not a bad person. Your words are very calculated. You know when to speak what, and if you also speak in a way that might hurt someone, or not hurt, but if you're coming across as a little aggressive, it's because you want to come across like that, because you want to prove a point, okay? You're not someone that's always aggressive. As I mentioned in my previous message, about, like, you just want to be understood, that message, if you go, it's all about your heart, right? You're a very nice person in your heart, but sometimes what happens, because of the softness of your heart, people take you for granted. People always like blaming you and things like that. Okay, you have patterns. I'm not saying it's not there. Maybe you're a people pleaser. Maybe you came from a lot of trauma, but still, it's not right. You can take your time to heal. That's on you. But just because you give your love to someone, you choose to give your love to someone, does not mean that people keep snapping at you whenever they want. It makes you feel so bad, so lonely, so judged. Some people just want to, like, jump off a cliff. Okay, this is just me saying this. Kindly do not attempt any of these things, because you're a precious person, you're a good person, and as I always say, people like you need to exist on this planet. We need people like you. I need people like you, who are always wanting good for others, who are wanting good for the planet. Somehow you have a problem standing up for yourself. Okay, with time you will get there, you will heal. It's okay. Take your time, it's alright. But don't forget yourself in the process, because there are a lot of people that like taking you for granted, right? So, as I was telling you, these people that always snap at you, right? They almost treat you as a weird doormat, even if they don't acknowledge it. They treat you like something non existent, like a punch bag. Whenever they need, they'll just punch. Also, whenever they feel like snapping, right, they will snap at you for no reason. Like, no reason. You're almost transparent and non existent as air. You know why I say air is like air is there, but you can't see it, right? At least to the naked eye. Like, you are like that, but still people snap at you. See, it's not because you're a person of low self worth. There's everything good for you, but sometimes you're scared of certain people's emotions. Because you know what? No matter what you do, they'll always snap at you. And let's say you happen to, talk back at them. Oh my god, they will create such a havoc. They will, stir up so many things. Like, they'll behave that you did something bad. Like, it's World War III, but you did not do anything. Okay, so you're scared of certain people's emotions. You're scared of standing up for yourself. You're scared of telling the right things. You're scared of expressing what you want for yourself because you're always scared of this person's emotion. Okay, you're scared of this person's emotion. Like, they'll throw a tantrum. These people don't like to take accountability for their emotions, for how they behave with someone. They always want other people to behave well with them. They need their peace, they need their space. They don't want to be bothered, they want to heal. I'm not saying it's wrong, but you are also a person. You want to heal your heart, you have traumas, you want to heal. Does not mean you go snapping at people, does not mean you give your worst to people or just get angry at them. And you know, imagine someone is constantly snapping at someone for no reason, making them feel bad, shouting at them, getting angry at them. Earlier days, right? This used to happen to like people in slavery, people who were servants, people who were at a lower rank than whoever this person is. This was not to offend anyone, but I just wanted to say that you see the dynamics of the relationship. Like, they take you for granted. Yes, you're not a paid servant, you're not a maid, you're not their punch bag, yet people take you for granted. The only reason being you stayed, you gave your love and support freely. Sometimes that's what happens. A good heart does not get you everything. And I'm not just someone sitting here and talking to you about this, okay? If you know, you know. If I speak to you about something, then I've gone through it, okay? It's not that I speak from a place of not knowing things. If I don't have the experience, I cannot talk to you about certain things. And I won't do that because I don't want to be that person who speaks about things because something is popular. I don't want to talk to you about that. But today I felt something within me and I thought, okay, there's someone else out there who needs to hear this thing because probably they're going through something within them, okay? Okay, I was saying these people snap at you and treat you in all sorts of ways where you end up feeling, listen, you end up feeling lonely, betrayed, misunderstood always, forever in your life. You feel smaller and you feel like a bad person for expressing your opinions. They guilt trip you, they'll do everything they can in their power, knowingly or unknowingly, okay? And some people have been going through this for years and years and years together. Some for 20 years, 30 years, 40, 60, call it whatever you want. It's only because there's a person who's holding space for them, who's showing up for them, who's not letting them down, who's not giving their worst to them. Let's say you, right? Because you have a good heart, you stayed all this time, even with all their, qualities that brings you some kind of sadness. You can call it acceptance, but sometimes it becomes torturous, right? It becomes torturous for you because you're also a human being. You also deserve to be free and happy. But it's always about, responding to their emotions, about how they are feeling, about calming them down. So, what about you? What happens to you then? You know what happens? You also want the same amount of care, nurturing, happiness, being able to speak freely, all the things that you allow the other person to do, right? You also want that, but you don't get it. but somehow you're still there because of this heart of yours. That's all I can say. Also, these are people who are like, when something goes wrong in their life, they treat you as a dumpster, right? They come, they speak to you about what's going on in their life and everything, and they leave. You're a dumpster for them. But when you want to speak about certain things, when you want space, when you want someone to hold space for you, when you want to be held, you won't find these people around you. You won't, because they're so used to taking from you. Let me tell you this. This can be anyone, right? Your most closest family, your most loved one. Some people are also doing this from a place of not knowing that they're doing this, because for them this is normal. These are also people that have also gone through a lot of traumas and betrayals in life. Now they somehow take you for granted in a very happy way, in a positive way, but it's not so positive for you. They feel like, okay, finally I've found someone who won't take me for granted, who's not mistreating me. So, let me treat this person as my closest. But in their treating you as their closest, you're losing a lot because they don't know boundaries. They don't know how much to say, what to say, how much to give, and how much to take. They'll easily dump things on you. I don't want to call it giving, but they'll easily dump things on you and then walk away. You really have this feeling where you end up feeling so bad for yourself. The moment you become happy, the moment you, okay, settle down in your space and you start expressing yourself, okay, that's done. It's done. The next moment you regret everything you've said, everything you've spoken about. Okay, because you start to feel this thing that where you're being judged, you feel smaller. People think, start to say things like, oh, you don't know anything, you don't know what you're talking about. You know everything. Because since you're the kind of person, as I always say, you're an emotionally sensitive person, also maybe someone who lives in isolation a lot. So you spend most of your life with yourself. So you know what you're saying because you're not always escaping life. You know what I mean? You're always with your emotions. So you know what you're saying and why you're saying and how much you're saying. But again, once again, the people around you make you feel so bad and worst. Taking being taken for granted is not a nice feeling. The ones that are doing it don't know about it. Just imagine for a second that this thing that's happening to you happens to them. You will see them screaming, crying, calling people names, shouting, making everybody's life around them hell. You'll see everything. And it's almost so weird because you're being quiet because it's peaceful around you. The moment you start expressing yourself, all the peace you've built just starts to fall off because the moment you express, this person feels threatened. I don't know why. Obviously, because I want to talk a lot about this, but I want to keep this video short. So that's why I'm not trying to make an attempt to pull on each topic. Anyways, I've still completed like 13-14 minutes of the video. I thought it will be done within 5-6 minutes. Whoever you are, wherever you are, if you're going through this, as I always say, I'm sorry about what you're feeling. Because it's not a nice feeling, right? And maybe you don't have people that understand you around you, okay? I just want to say, kindly don't doubt yourself because of these people. Because it's very easy to doubt yourself, and it happens to me as well. When I hear something, right, and when I say something, the next moment I start doubting myself. I start calling myself names, but I'm not that person that they make me think I am. I'm not. My words are not like that. My thoughts are not like that. My heart is not like that. And the same goes for you. You're a very different person in your heart, and people don't know that about you. You're a very good person. You're a very nice person. You're a very kind person. Maybe you're not very expressive in in your physical gestures because you don't feel safe showing yourself to the world or expressing yourself to the world. or letting people know how you feel, because as I said, you have people around you like this who judge you when you speak. So you're obviously scared of being who you are completely around people because you feel threatened. You feel like, okay, if I express myself freely, someone's going to get very uncomfortable with it and then they'll start snapping at me, and I want my peace. You're also sacrificing in a way. It should not be that way. And in the end, you start to judge yourself. You start to feel smaller. You start to think you're crazy. Gaslighting, right? A lot of gaslighting happens. So, this is all my request. This thing, if it's been happening for you since many years, I'm pretty sure it's happening to you even now. So, whenever someone says this, right, you don't need someone very close to you saying these things to you. If I'm saying this and if it has reached you, it means this is a message for you. So, kindly take this seriously. You don't have to think bad about yourself because someone is saying this. That person, whoever is making you feel smaller, is not secure enough like you. They don't. If a if a small wind happens to pass by, their tower will crash. That's how fragile they are. They're also just playing a game. I just want to say this, okay? So don't take it seriously because you have a lot of depth in you, and you have too much wisdom, okay? So don't start to spiral downwards and think I'm a bad person. I don't know things. Kindly don't think that you don't know anything. Also, this message is a reminder for myself. It's like when you write some things down somewhere, so you always think of it. This message is like that for you and for me as well. There are a lot of people that will make you feel a lot of different emotions that are not pleasant. But you don't have to, the moment you give in, because somebody wants to make you feel like you're a crazy person, right? But if you start feeling that, that's when they win over you because it becomes easy for them to control you then. Kindly don't give in to their false interpretation of things because they are nuts. They can think anything they want to, but that's not your reality, okay? They are reflecting their own fears, their own um, traumas, them not being accountable for themselves, their unhealed wounds and trauma, and they're directing all that towards you because you're not snapping at them like they do, okay? Trust me, if there was another person that could do this to them, you will see them in tears. I'm being honest because they can't take it. And you have a kind heart, but you have a very strong heart. And I am not saying you have to accept things because even the strongest people go through a lot of emotional trauma, sadness, baggage, everything. I'm not asking you to be a sponge and like absorb everything. I'm not. Okay? There are a lot of dogs barking if it's significant to you in any way. Okay? Oh, yes. There are too many people that will be barking, only some speaking, so be careful not to give in to people's words. Once again, this is a reminder for both you and I, right? Stop putting yourself so down. I don't know why I have to end this video, but I still want to say it again. People can make you feel anything, they can call you names. Previously, they have called you names that you could have never thought. And it might not be one person in your life, okay? This could be multiple people in your life. And because there are a lot of people around you, you think, okay, they are right and I'm wrong. But that's not the truth. They all have similar behavior and they're all attracted towards you. They are in your circle because you are a certain person. Okay, they all come to heal. They all need safe space to express themselves. And once they're done, they leave. And this, I'll make a different video about it. But don't dim your light. You don't have to seek validation from everyone. It's alright. You know who you are. I know who you are. The divine knows who you are. As long as You know who you are, right? Don't try to take things seriously from people that make you feel bad, because they are the people that are not healed. They've not healed themselves. They're miserable in their heads. That's why they make it miserable for you, because they think everything is like their headspace, their physical reality is like their mental reality, and it's not true. I was suffering from this as well, and now that I'm making a video for you, I'm also gaining a lot of clarity as I'm making this video, okay? So it's not your fault, it's not my fault, it's nobody's fault. You are just being you. You're just being you, okay? And you've not done anything bad, you don't hurt people, nothing. Sometimes you have to say certain things to establish a boundary, and that's all you're doing. You're trying to secure your space, your mental health, because you have suffered in the past and you know what it's like. So don't blame yourself for everything, okay? Other people have to take accountability for what they're doing as well. And yes, if you start being very vocal about how they're making you feel, yes, there's a possibility that they will tell you that, you've changed, you've become too snappy, you're very aggressive. They'll gaslight you, okay? These things are not true. Just let it go, okay? Let it go. You don't want their opinions. There are people around you that will say these things, but it's not true. So don't make it true for yourself by believing these things. That's all I want to say. And the video is about 22 minutes now. I did not expect it to go this long. I did not want it to go this long. Okay, but it is this long. It is what it is. So take care of yourself. Don't give in to people's words. You're not lonely. Okay, you choose your space because you feel safe and protected in your space. You're not lonely, you're not alone, you're not isolated, you're not a stranger to this world, okay? You belong here. So don't think too small about yourself, okay? I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.